What's up everyone, welcome back to a new video on the Alien Agro channel. Today we will be going over the markets again, so this will be the daily market outlook. So without more having said, let's get straight into it. I think it's quite clear what happened yesterday. Of course, US decided to attack Iran, which we kind of expected with the simple logic of Trump saying all US citizens leave this area and evacuating everyone. You don't do that without a reason, so we kind of expected him to throw some bombs, and he did, which created this downwards move. But when we were looking at the charts, what did I tell you guys? We had this move towards the downside, where I, in first instance, expected this level to hold, which we did not. So I shorted it from right here on to this low, these lows right here, which is where I GP'd, and right after it fell even further. Then I started recording the video right around here, and I stated we were watching two pivotal levels. We either want to break up from this level, meaning we go above it, we retest it or hold it at least, start to compress a little and find some acceptance back above these highs, which we clearly did not. What did we get? I was showing this little support zone, which was created on the lower time frames. When we look at this on a 5 minute, right here, this was what started that initial move back towards the upside. So we wanted to see this hold, and if this didn't hold, I just expected it to bleed further. Because when we look at this on a higher time frame as well, and this was your crucial level. So if you did not hold this, you would most likely go down further. When we look at this on a 4 hour, it's quite clear that this was your key area where you only deviated once and you got that upside right after it. But we went down, got some support again, support again, support again, and here we got that close right above, indicating this clearly was that support. On the 5 minute, it was a very clear break and retest, where you see right here, we broke below, retested it twice, and that massive flood started to happen. And look at this, we even retested it once more, creating that second part of the bleed. Currently, we are ranging again. So, you guys know I like ranges a lot, so with that having stated, let's get into those. So, it's, I think, quite clear where that current range is. I'll use some blue boxes again. Right here. With that being your range high. Where you once deviated from. When we look at this on a 50 minute, I see it's supposed to be a little bit higher. Where I will take it as this candle. Right here onto this wick. Right there. So you see we clearly deviated a little bit when we look at this on a 5 minute. Right there. Find acceptance below. Retested multiple times. Retested again. So I expect this to be your crucial level to flip on those lower time frames. Now let's look at the bottom side in the case of us going down further. There is a quite logical level when you look at it like this right here. See, once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. So I will go onto the 5 minutes to identify it a bit more clear. And here it is not that clear actually. So we will keep the chart on that 30 minute time frame, where we will be looking at this entirety. So yes, this is a way bigger zone than the upside, but this is simply how it works, where we either, if we don't break up, so I will first remove this, this is not relevant anymore, where we start to see some movement, either where we find acceptance above, that was not supposed to happen, where we do something like this, compress a little bit, and then if that low holds, we could see some more upside. If that low doesn't hold, we will most likely find acceptance back below. If we reject from this in the first instance, I would like to look at this area right there. So with that having said, I will keep it like this, and we will go on to that one day where I say that we really need to hold these levels. Because if we don't, we quite clearly can drop all the way to here. Because like I stated on that volume chart, when you look at this volume, the high volume areas usually hold. And once you lose one of them, you most likely will trade right through those low volume areas. So what is your high volume still? This is still considered semi-high volume, which stops right there. Now look to the left side. This is perfectly that level that we identified on the regular BTC chart. So if we lose this, I'm quite confident that we will trade right into this level, like in an instant. And if this doesn't hold, there is nothing holding it back to drop all the way to those 69k till 59k. So we really need to hold this 100k because otherwise it can get really fucking dicey. So let's get onto the ETH chart, where on ETH, this, like I said yesterday in the video, looked a lot worse. Where if we look at it on a 30-minute time frame, what again was that range that we identified? I wanted to see it find acceptance above this, and if we did not, I just expected it to rally right through those range lows, and we want to see it hold around those range lows. But what did we get instead? We broke the range low and got a retest of this previous candle. Right after, you see that massive break. And of course, what is this blue line again? This is your macro range. So when you look at this on the 4 hour, this was just a break with a retest. And if you even look at it closer, here was your break, here was your retest, and you go down. So now let's find the current support, because I see that I haven't drawn it right here, maybe on the volume charts. Yes, okay. Right there. Here we exactly see what I mentioned before. This was supposed to be at 230, so let's extend it to 30. Okay, what can we see here? We talked about previously on this volume chart that you wanted that POC to hold, because if you hold that POC, you can find acceptance back above to blast through that mid-level, where we go all the way towards that value area high. We did not, so I'll remove this scenario because it doesn't matter anymore. So what did we get instead? I showed two examples, two different things. One was the mean reversion, where you have a massive downwards move with high volume. You quickly reclaim and you hold, and you start trending up, right? Like this example. The second example I showed is where you find this, but this part is slow. Where this, it starts to chop and you later roll over. This is currently the example that we were given. Here, you see, where instead of an aggressive reclaim, you start to chop a little and you roll over. So this was that most bearish scenario we were looking at. And like I stated here, this was that reversal level. Why? This was your low volume area. So this was a crucial point for me to watch. So when we look at this, you already see I've pointed out this wick. We've taken this out. So if we manage to find acceptance back above it, we can quickly copy paste this right here like this. If we manage to find acceptance back above, I do think we should see that range low again pretty quickly. But if we don't, and I do have to admit that currently when you look at that ETH BTC chart, it looks like it's broken down. But when did we see this before? Right on the ETH USD chart right there. So I'm not that concerned unless a second candle closes below it, and with a second candle I mean 1 day. So like you see here, this can still get partially engulfed, where this just becomes a deviation of that range. For the BTC chart, what I stated yesterday in the video, which is why most alts are horribly bleeding, where you was able to break above this, find acceptance above it, and we just got sent straight up. Where BTC, yes, it did go down, but you see BTC kind of chopping. Now let's look at ETH. Now you see the relative strength logic I was talking about, but then in reverse. Now BTC is stronger than ETH. So we really need to see a switch in this, because otherwise I'm just bearish on alts, quite clearly. So when we look at most alts here from the list, broken down, seems to be catching support, but also locally broke down. Hype. It's okay, yeah, this was quite fun. I told you guys this was that area I was looking at. I do think it could go even lower, to be honest. We just look at this on a 4 hour, it just looks quite shit. I don't think this is ready for a reversal yet. Where we still need to chop around a little, because this is going quite slowly, where it could just continue and perhaps even take out that lowest wick, which I did not originally expect, but with the dump being this aggressive on BTC and ETH, there is still a chance of taking out this wick, in my opinion. Right here I took a very tiny long, but this was quite risky, so I did not bother holding it for a while, and I just closed it quite quickly right around here when we came into this little part of price action. So yes, I could have exited better. I did not bother holding this, but you already see it when you look at just the general alts. They all look weak, even like the strongest pairs here. Let's take this one for example. Even this one is broken. This is breaking down. So it's looking quite bad for alts. Well, BTC is just ranging, and I do say we need to break this, because otherwise we can just trade right into this, and that crucial level being that 100k, because otherwise we will most likely see this box. On a volume level, you see the exact same. I see it is not taking this full range. Now that this is still the range, I will find that major range for you guys. So we do that fixed range volume profile. We take this exact low, and we take this exact high. But here comes the thing. This is still a part of that range. So what do? We take this, we rack this all the way to here. Why till here? See, this is where we clearly bounced. And now, yes, for the people that are quite smart, you see I did not take this into account. So what do? We also take that part with it. So right here, you see that lack of volume right there. So if we really don't hold this, which we don't seem to be doing, that high volume area, where this is like your last part, as you can see that little spike right there. If we don't manage to hold this, we pretty much can slice through this like butter. Because low volume usually does not hold. And what is that next high volume point? You see it already, right there. And if we take it even more general, you're talking about this. But the highest volume point currently is this, which is pointed out by that POC, meaning point of control. So we do need to be holding this 100k, because otherwise you most likely trade into this area. So with that having said, for ETH, it's pretty much the same. Here we want to see the reclaim of this. If that reclaim does not happen, you'll most likely trade back into this area. where if you look at this from a weekly perspective, this was your previous high right here. It was right around your range lows when you identified this as your major range, which you later got that sweep and we got sent down. So what do we have here on a bigger picture? We have a accumulation phase, a manipulation phase, with a break retest to confirm that distributional phase. So when can we fully confirm this? When we had a proper retest or we break up from this. Because technically you could say that this was your range low and then you pretty much have retested it right now. Because when you look at this, these are your previous range lows, which we just barely retested. Like right here, your initial move, your low, which is where we now have came back into. So for ETH, it's quite clear that we need to see this reclaim, because otherwise you will most likely bleed down even further. So for BTC, it's quite literally the same. As I've pointed out, this range, yeah, this went a little bit faster than I expected. I hoped I was able to give you guys this trade during the video, but sadly the video took a little bit too long. So without more having said, I will upload it right away. So without that having said, guys, have a nice day, and like usual, keep trading.